It's a really, really complicated and difficult. So far, we've had a few that have done it. XRP has done it, and that surprised everybody, right? Because
did it surprise you?
It did. And listen, we're a big owner of XRP, the company, but the token, because, I had all the same reasons everyone else. It was less decentralized. It was not a true blockchain. You can all the criticisms at XRP. It missed something important. They built a fierce community of people that believed in their narrative and turned it into money. And for them, it's money. How do you turn something?
You just heard from Mike Novogratz, who spent 11 years at Goldman Sachs, where he was elected a partner, then went on to serve at the New York Federal Reserve's Investment Advisory Committee on Financial Markets for another period of 3 years. This was all before he became founder and CEO of Galaxy Digital, which is a very large shareholder of the Ripple company. And in this video, he even states how he didn't see it because he was disassociating the Ripple business model from XRP, yet Ripple took advantage of a major opportunity to create one of the strongest communities in all of crypto, which has now allowed them to do $4 billion in deals and acquisitions, and has now led to the very first XRP spot ETF, which has now surpassed the Solana ETF and become the biggest ETF launch of the year. And this is all because of the XRP army. But this still doesn't explain how on the day of the actual ETF launch, XRP is down 8.36% off the high from 250 all the way back down to 230. And I've had so many people in the XRP community and on this channel reaching out, basically stating, that's it, I'm done. I was expecting the ETF to pump the price of my XRP bag, and all I'm seeing is loads of sell pressure. Many of our members are stating this doesn't make sense. The fact that the bull market is over. What was the point of waiting for an ETF launch if all you're gonna see is price action to the downside? Well, in this video, I'm gonna aim to give you more clarity into what's really going on in the markets and what key pivot points you need to watch out for as an XRP holder so you can make the most out of the current market environment and into the end of the year. Because even a well-known XRP investor who manages a fund, Jake Claver, stated just recently, like a day before, that XRP ETFs, if they launch together and we hit a right group of scenarios, this could create the catalyst for XRP to hit 3 to 4 digits by at least 2026. So be sure to stick around till the end. And if you want to get ahead of your retirement using or investing in crypto through tax advantaged accounts like IRAs or Roth IRAs, go ahead and check this out.
Do you love crypto, but are you worried about taxes shrinking your retirement nest egg? Here's the deal. Trading and selling crypto can trigger capital gains taxes, eating into your wealth. A crypto IRA fixes that. Per IRS publication 590B, traditional IRA gains like those from crypto aren't taxed until distributed. That's why we've partnered with iTrust, a leading crypto IRA company in the USA, to sponsor today's video. And they offer institutional grade custody for retail clients that want to set up their crypto IRAs for retirement, leveraging top storage solutions like Fidelity, Wells Fargo, and Coinbase Prime to keep your assets secure. To get started, simply click the link in the description of this video, sign up for free, and fund your account with cash. They also offer 401k rollovers or crypto transfers, and you can trade 24/7 with just 1% transaction fees and no maintenance costs. As always, I'm not a CPA or financial advisor, so consult one for tax advice, and we do earn a commission if you sign up using our link below to fund your crypto IRA account, but that helps support value-based videos like this. And iTrust Capital already has over 200,000 crypto IRA accounts and over $14 billion in transactions, proving they're trusted by smart investors just like you. So click the link below, get started now by funding your account today, and let's create generational wealth together.
And as always, my friend, if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the wealthiest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Hello and welcome back to the Bull Runners channel. If you're new here, my name is Paul. We have huge news. The fact that Canary Capital has officially launched the very first true XRP spot ETF, which recorded a record $58.5 million in volume on the NASDAQ. This is under the ticker XRPC. So if you're looking to purchase XRP through this regulated product, you're good to go on most TradFi platforms. Still, this doesn't explain why the price is down on the day. With all of the positive inflows, with an XRP spot ETF, a true spot ETF launched today, the market traded down heavily. You have people like Mike Novogratz talking positively about XRP, that he didn't see it happening. You even have someone like Jake Claver stating that if all of the XRP ETFs launched together, among a few other key major catalysts, that XRP could hit 3 to 4 digits by 2026. And maybe that's true, but I no longer listen to all the noise. I no longer think about all the positive news. I actually focus on the price first. If the price is telling me one thing and the news is telling me another, well, the reality is the price is real, and that maybe things were already priced in. And I'll explain how that works here in just a second. But we didn't see a bunch of ETFs launch on the same day. Canary Capital was ahead of the curve, and this is currently the only true spot ETF available in the United States as of November 13th. But it's possible by 2026 we see a bigger price on XRP, as long as the entire market is in a very healthy place. Bitcoin's doing well. It's possible that Bitwise ETF, 21 shares, Franklin Templeton, Coin shares, which are all currently pending, will launch, and by then we will have more institutional access across the board in order for many of these major players to buy XRP through any one of these ETFs. And ultimately, that was the key. He stated that if XRP ETFs launch in tandem, the token could ascend to the 3 or even 4 digit range, which sounds absolutely ludicrous, even according to my calculations, but I've been wrong before. Now, in his framework, the ETF launches are just one domino among several other cascading forces. He outlines risks of global debt faltering, stablecoin stress, market deleveraging, and institutional exits. And if all of these things were to happen in a perfect storm, then yes, XRP and crypto or digital assets, the largest ones, would be the biggest beneficiaries of this systemic risk and a flight to capital into new assets. Now, Cointelegraph, which tends to put out pretty good information and news, even stated an insight according to some analysts, the fact that XRP's distribution phase equals the end to the bull case. Cycle top targets still $10 to $30 with the potential US spot XRP ETF as a key tailwind. Well, we already have that. We'd likely need to see more ETFs. We'd need to see more inflows, and we need to see a positive environment. And so the reason I don't like what's currently happening, and I'm not trying to FUD the token, it's just the reality. The token's already down on very positive news, arguably some of the best news we've seen. In the past, we've seen good news like Donald Trump announcing adding XRP to a national strategic reserve, pump the price of XRP on March 2nd from about $2.20 all the way up to $3. Then immediately that sold right back off. Then on March 19th, we saw an even smaller pump from $2.28 to a measly $2.58 when the XRP lawsuit was essentially over and Brad Garlinghouse put that statement on X. It was a really big day, yet look at how weak the price action was. Again, that rally sold right back off. And now on November 13th, we have the first XRP spot ETF to create an environment for true institutional adoption in a regulated manner, and the price is actually down. This is the very first time we've had such a large announcement where the price is down, which leads me to believe that not even XRP in all of its strength, with one of the biggest, best communities in all of crypto, can fight the current of the ocean. If the trend is down on the general macro market, all stocks and cryptos are likely going to go down. And I actually think this is because we're seeing a lot of weakness now in the TradFi markets. And so you can see when we look at the prior all-time high coming in on the S&P 500, we had an exhaustion gap up following the QQQ or NASDAQ, which immediately closed the gap, a bit of a retrace and a rally, and now we are putting in a new local high for a series of lower highs and what could potentially be the start to a new downtrend. In other words, the market was actually rallying into the potential for the government to open back up. And the moment moment the government actually opens back up for a historic 43-day shutdown, the markets start to dump yet again. In other words, this is the perfect example of how you want to buy the rumor, even if it's completely guaranteed, like there's no shot that we wouldn't eventually open the government up. You still want to buy into the rumor of when it's going to open up, and then when it actually occurs, you want to start selling. In similar fashion, XRP dumped to a new low on November 4th. Into a potential government reopening, we rallied. Heck, a lot of people were expecting that ETF as well. As soon as the ETF comes in on November 13th, market dumps, which proves the point that XRP, even with one of the strongest communities in real inflows on an ETF, cannot fight the greater forces of the market. Now, that said, it's possible that things could get worse before they get better. Bitcoin just dumped to yet again another $98,000 as investors dump their tech shares because even though we're getting relief on a shutdown, their confidence is waning as we are seeing delayed economic data, which is actually going to threaten certainty into what happens next. In other words, US stocks posted their worst day in a month, and investors are now worried the incoming torrent of data could swing markets and upend bets on the December interest rate cut. People are really looking into that December rate cut and arguably de-risking in case things are worse than we expected because they've not been going by data, they've been going by their gut. What equities are possibly reflecting today is that we're going to see a deluge of data. Again, we just ended the largest and the longest government shutdown in history. Mina Krishman, who is a multi-asset portfolio manager at Schroeder, stated, "We've been in the dark for the past 40 days and it'll be a lot of data all at once, which most managers do not want to carry." So in the case of crypto already looking weak into this environment, actually weaker than the stock market, we only saw Bitcoin dump as well today. And obviously XRP ended up following, although it didn't dump to new lows like Bitcoin down here, arguably up because of the ETF, it still couldn't fight the general trend, which begs the question, will XRP even be able to hit $10 to $30 this year, much less Jay Claver's prediction of 3 or 4 digits? You would need to see all of the macro environment essentially crumble and collapse, and for there to be a flight to capital in digital assets. In other words, it would need to be a full domino effect. And right now, I personally don't believe the market is mature enough yet. And the reason I don't believe everyone's going to fly into something like XRP right off the rip, at least if the market were to collapse right now, is because already as the market is weakening, you would see it reflect in the price and on the charts. Those ETF inflows not only would have kept the price up, we would have saw a new local pump for at least above 265. So we're starting to get a disconnect. The price is doing one thing, even though we have very positive news on XRP, which means XRP is still very much tethered to the macro side of things, to what Bitcoin is doing. Much more so, the fact that XRP on October 10th dumped from 280 all the way down to 140 on Kraken and at least 150 on most exchanges, which was more than a 50% dump. And that would lead the majority of bigger investors to say this thing is simply not liquid enough for me to dump all of my capital into this and call it a no risk play. They're obviously carrying risk in crypto, but that's why we're all here, because the greater the risk, the greater the reward. The problem is if we are truly starting a new bear market, and the odds are increasing as the days go on and we get closer to the end of November with no clear rally in sight, then carrying risk is actually not a good thing, which is why markets are selling off. So me personally, I don't quit. I'm not out. I make money with markets, and ultimately I make money not by being bullish or bearish, but by being on the right side of the market, whether it goes up or down. And if you want to take advantage of the start to a potential bear market, there's actually a lot of money to be made. The way institutions make money in a bear market is very straightforward and simple. They short the market and they use a bit of leverage while at the same time keeping their risk pretty tight. We call that a stop loss, or a max amount you're willing to lose per trade. Either way, Blowfin is one of the coolest platforms and extremely safe for you to take advantage of levered products, copy trading other investors and traders. And when you sign up through our link down in the description below and our altcoin Altcoin Pro partnership, you can get up to a $5,000 welcome bonus. And when you sign up, this is what the platform will look like. And you can click through and see all of the cool things they have to offer, including that copy trader tab right up here. So that said, I am playing it very cautious right now. If I'm not shorting, which currently I'm looking to do and am adding to shorts depending on each individual trade, when I take a look at XRP, we are currently back down to that range support that we hit right here on October 17th, which seemed to be a pretty good support when you look at it as a resistance going all the way back to July. We sold off multiple times. When we rallied back above, we broke down a few times and we had a bit of a bear trap, but now it looks pretty weak with a new lower high yet again. You can see that this high, even with the ETF, wasn't enough to pump us for a new high above 260, which leads me to believe we're actually going lower before we go higher. And it's possible that within the week we dump to at least $2.10, which we really need to hold, because that $2.10 range down to 190 is our last major range of support before things could break down and get really nasty on XRP. So if you don't want to add more risk, I personally wouldn't be buying dips at this point unless you're thinking, I want to invest into this thing 5 to 10 years out. I'm looking for a $10 to $30 XRP. Either way, you will have time. I'd rather not dip buy right now and focus on buying into strength. If I see the market improve and I see strength above the $2.50 range and arguably above 260, then things would look pretty good, because now we're going to come back into that range resistance that we were supported at going all the way back to August. So for the sake of simplicity, dip buying is very dangerous right now. Buying into strength is a far better strategy and approach, because 260 has to come before we hit $3 plus. So don't worry about feeling FOMO. Don't worry about missing out. Every single day there's another opportunity, and as long as you're watching these videos and staying up to date on the price, you should be good to go, which is why I believe every single person watching this video should join Altcoin Pro University. You're going to get far more live updates. You're going to have the best community in all of crypto. You get access to all sorts of tools, training, and resources. You can put your crypto to work for you in just 15 minutes once per week. And guess what? You can mitigate a lot of the risk that would occur to you in a bear market because you're tuned in and plugged into the market. And we guarantee that you're going to be 100% satisfied in 14 days. If not, you can ask for a refund. So thanks so much for watching this video, my friend. Until next time, goodbye.